And apparently I am live. And there we go. Hello and welcome to another live stream, which I haven't done so many of. And now let's see if I can get everything working up here. I am right now in a very exciting situation because I got a little bit of a package here, and I'm just going to keep making sure that everything's running here, so that's why I sometimes have to look over there. If you are watching any of this in the aftermath, so if you are watching the recording of the live stream, you might find some time markers in the description of the video, so you can jump around and see a couple of the more important highlights where you might want to look into. But what we have here is the brand spanking new GoPro Max. I just received this package and I was scheduled to receive it last Friday. However, for some reason they decided to deliver it on Monday instead of Friday. So now I finally have it. I have not had a chance to play with it. I have not even opened the package. I have no idea how this thing works. I have never even used the GoPro Fusion or any other 360 camera for that matter. So this is the most exciting camera unpacking I have done in a long time. I guess the EOS R was very interesting because I was coming back from Sony, but I already knew Canon cameras in general. The DSLR system is basically all the same everywhere. It's like the normal sensor, but this is kind of like a drone unpacking for me. It is unpacking something that I have never used before, and to be honest, I don't even think, like, I have seen one person take a 360 shot at a party once, but I think that 360 cameras are really, really interesting still, or more so than ever, because they're not really that common yet, and I'm sure they're getting more and more popular over the next few years, and they might, like, there's this thing that everybody thought that everybody's going to have a drone in a couple of years, and now there's more and more laws against drones, so like not everybody's getting a drone, and the consumer market for drones is apparently getting a little smaller, or at least not as exciting as it was a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years ago, something like that. I, for one, already sold my drone. I sometimes would wish I could carry one, but it's just too much money that is staying in the closet. That's just too much of a hassle, and then also the whole legislation and the different kind of restrictions that you have nowadays. Now with the 360 cameras, that's a little bit different. Now with 360 cameras, that's a little bit different. With the it's a normal camera, just like anything else, and we should get some interesting work done with that, and especially with the changes coming up to my life regarding living situation, building something, and overall being able to create way more. But that's a topic for a video that I'm currently producing that's coming later this week, most likely. Yeah, it's going to be one of those tools that is probably going to give me a lot of more creative freedom, let's say that. And I'm really excited to play around with this, and what I want to do in this live stream is essentially unpack this, look at what the package has to offer, connect it to my phone, because that's obviously going to make working with the footage a little bit easier, and then just playing around with it live on camera, because I thought to myself, why not do that? We always have these produced videos on YouTube. We have the videos that show all kinds of details and everything, but I want to just play around with it and have a first look and first reaction, basically just one video through, and you can sit with me looking at this thing and learning about it as I go along. And yeah, let's just see what's inside, right? That's the first most interesting part of this. If you happen to have any questions along the way, please feel free to put them in the comment section if this is the video that you're watching after the fact, or you can put them into the chat. And I have the chat open as well I'm actually going to just put this on my main screen here because why not? Today I'm not going to do any kind of screen sharing or stuff like that. So let's just put everything right there where I can see it immediately and also see the health of the stream and stuff like that, so that I can just know what's going on here. And there we go. So overall, yeah, let's jump into this. The first thing that I noticed was that when I was looking at the packaging, it's kind of danged up, even though it says fragile on the side and everything. So that's not really the most amazing job that UPS did there. And I have to say, like, I already tweeted about this last Friday with the shipping situation, and this. I'm just trying to keep my address out of this, as you should. So the main issue that I have with UPS on the shipping situation, which I tweeted about on the weekend, or I tweeted about as I was supposed to receive the package on Friday, it said it's going to be delivered Friday end of day or until the end of the day on my online tracking. And then at about, I don't know, 7 p.m. basically, it said it's going to be Monday. And the annoying thing about this is that I believe that a shipping company can probably guess that first, like way sooner. I already knew, like, from the tracking details and like looking at them later, I saw that it only got delivered to a town nearby on Friday. So like that's something that you could have known beforehand. I wouldn't have been as excited on Friday. I wouldn't have waited so long at home and stayed there and changed my plans because of that. And now it's Monday. So like I was really excited to have this camera for the weekend and just try it out and play with it. This couldn't happen because of exactly that, and it's just so much more annoying if that's something that I get to know at the end of the day that it is supposed to be delivered. So that's really what I think should have happened beforehand and not as it did. And so yeah, it was just really annoying and could have been handled differently in my opinion. But now I can finally unwrap it and see what the camera has to offer. And there we have one part of the package, and I of course also got myself a little bit of a selfie stick situation, and there's nothing else. So that's a package for me to ship something else with. And as I usually do whenever I unpack something, I'm going for the not so obvious first, the not so interesting pieces. So let's just put this out and also take the plastic off of the camera so that we have it out of the plastic bag packaging stuff. I would say from what I know from past GoPros that I've owned, the packaging pretty much looks the same. And yeah, let's just open this one up. Warranty card stuff, and a fairly heavy, actually, selfie stick. And I have to say, for being a piece of plastic, it's really funny for me to always have kind of like the difference between unpacking something like this. This is like a piece of plastic with a couple of hinges and stuff, right? Like it has the feature, at least it's supposed to be, and now I'm kind of like trying to figure out, okay, so this is kind of like the tripod functionality of this, so that's really interesting. And then you can extend this middle pole, and apparently it can stand like that. Let's just have a look. Yep, looks like that's exactly how it works. And you have the standard GoPro mount at the top, and these are magnetic, so they're a little harder than I would expect to kind of like have them flap out and open up. So feels fairly solid. It's a little heavier than I expected, but we'll see how that works in practice with the GoPro attached to the top. this is kind of like the max grip and tripod, and I wanted to have a simple solution for myself to carry it around and have it either for selfie mode, the tripod of course to stand up or put it somewhere and just do some really interesting 360 shots. But for being just a little tripod, it's like 59 bucks or 69 bucks or something like that. And considering this is 500, it's like, why is this 1/5 of the, no, it's like, what is it, 1/10 of the price? But still, it's like 1/10 of the price for this package, which has all the tech and soldering and so much technical work inside of the GoPro. But we'll see and check it out. And the first thing that comes to a surprise for me, or at least let's like looking at the packaging here, and I know like most of you, if you know the GoPro, you already know the statistics. It's like 16.6 megapixels, 5.6K at 30 frames a second, 360 video, 2x slow motion with other modes and stuff like. Then you have the hyper-smooth or max hyper-smooth, max time warp, 1080p live streaming. I think that's only for one camera of the two. Power panorama, Spiegl activated. It has a screen, it has GPS, it's waterproof by itself, even though it doesn't really work that great underwater. That's what I've seen based on other videos from people that talked about this camera. I really love the idea of having the hero mode, that you can actually use just one of the two cameras as basically a vlogging camera, and then you can use the 360 mode for those situations where you want to have that. And that's also why I believe, like many people have said, the GoPro Hero, the GoPro Max is a replacement for the GoPro Hero. Depends on how you want to view it. I think that they both have their specific use cases, and for my personal use case that I am planning to use this camera for, I believe that the Max is a way better companion than the GoPro Hero 8, for example. The GoPro Hero 8 is, of course, higher quality. You have the 4K 60, I believe, even. You have the 180 with 240 frames a second and stuff like that. But for the vlogging purpose that I am currently thinking about, having this as my companion to provide a bit of a different viewing angle that nothing else can provide me, to provide me with video footage and creativity and a new outlet of kind of like creating something completely different with the spheres and stuff like that. That's something that no other camera can give me but a 360 camera. It doesn't really matter which one, but a 360 camera can give me that new creative outlet, let's say. The GoPro Hero 8 can give me the frame rates, it can give me the action shots and stuff like that. So like for those purposes, of course you want to go with the GoPro Hero 8. However, for the for more freedom and creative freedom and like the way of creating a whole new world of video material, I think that this provides way more. And also with the hero mode, being able to just use one of the two cameras for this vlog style video, I think that that's just an amazing, powerful tool. And that's why I purchased this and why I am so excited to be looking into this. Something else that I want to mention while unpacking this, what I see on the packaging, of course you have the camera, which you see up here. There's one battery in the package, there's a little bit of a mount, and then there's a adhesive mount somewhere in there as well. One of those screws that we also have on the tripod, as we all know. And then there is a USB cable, and apparently there are two covers for the lenses. So there's like a glass cover, and then there's the protective covers. I'm also hoping that there's some kind of a bag that I can just put over everything. That's apparently something that was part of the Fusion kit, but we'll see what is inside of here. Let's see how to get this out without breaking it though. Oh, there we go. I really like how they do these plastic packs at the top here. At the same time though, I don't really like them. Like they are really strong plastics, but at the same time it is plastic, and so just so much more plastic in this world. So yeah, but overall interesting, good packaging as you would expect, I guess. And then we have the camera here with the usual freaking mounts thing. And I found it really interesting always when I have these type of cameras. These plates here are basically a little mini tripod in themselves, so that's really useful sometimes, but also not that often. They try plus, try it for free. Yeah, I'm thinking about that because they replaced the cameras and stuff like that, so that's really helpful. That's an interesting... Yeah, just a mini manual, how to take out the battery, how to mount to helmets and stuff like that. Whoops. Help. Of course, stickers as always. Maybe I have a new sticker for my water bottle here. And a important instructions and safety stuff. Usually never look at those. Then we go here, protective lenses. I guess that's really interesting. Like there's use the clear caps for added lens protection. Notice may affect image quality. That's the usual problem with the extra caps that you can put on these kind of warped lenses, or any lenses for that matter. It's the same reason why the DJI Mavic Pro, if you have the dome on there, you always have certain issues with the video, especially with sun flares coming in and stuff like that. Also says that you should not use the protective lenses underwater. And there is actually, what I hoped for, a little bit of a pouch that you can use to also cover the camera. And then there we have one of those protective lenses apparently. And then there is a second one. So these can be used in certain environments. And then we're almost done with the unpacking. We have the adhesive mount, so that's something that's going to the side. And I do not have a second camera at the moment, so that's why you are not seeing any of this that is lying on the desk. And I'm just going to, yeah, so this feels fairly useful, but at the same time not really, because it does not have any real protection. I have seen pouches that have more of a ruggedness to them. But then we have a USB-A to USB-C cable. We have the protective covers for the lenses that you can just put on, and that's nice. And then we have a battery. And in the long term, I'm probably going to get another battery, or like 2 batteries and one of the double chargers. That's going to be what I am planning on getting, at least. And now let's have this one come out here. So right now there's the camera, and there's like a little bit of a demo sticky note on the monitor, and I'm going to just remove that. It's kind of funny how they have these pictures on there that if you're in the store and this is kind of like on there, you kind of see what the world could look like if you were to use this camera. Now, what I find interesting, or let's just do something here real quick to cover the lenses so I don't have to be as careful when playing around with the camera. First time in the history of GoPro, they apparently made these things collapsible so that they are flush to the body when you are not using any mount. And I think I read on the website, like, these things now also are replaceable. So you don't need any kind of housing to put the GoPro onto something. However, you will you might break them, so you can replace them. So that's really, really helpful for people who do a lot of action sports, I would assume. Now I'm going to put this camera, and I really like the plastic feel of these new mounts, because the old mounts, or the mounts that I know from GoPro cameras, was way more plasticky than these. These feel much more sturdy, a little sturdier, I would say. So now I have set up all of this, in a way that I can actually put this down on the desk, and you can see the camera here as it is put together. And we all know, like from if you have read or watched anything about the GoPro Hero Max, it has a ton of microphones. There's like one on the front next to each lens, then there's one on the side here. There's something at the top, so there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who knows where else? Like, it's crazy how many microphones there are on this device. Now let's open it up. And there we have the battery, the USB-C, as well as a micro SD card slot, and I will have to find a micro SD card. And there we go. We have a 64 gigabyte SanDisk U3 XC whatever. It's like should be good enough. Oops, almost put it into the battery hole part. Now it's in the reader, and closing the battery flap, and closed it all the way. Okay, so let's just open these lenses back up. That's a tricky situation here. Does it work with Android phones correctly? I hear it did not work with more 10 and 360. I have no idea if it works with Android phones. Granted, I am just now unpacking it. That's one thing. And the second thing is that I don't own any Android phones, so I have honestly no clue about GoPro and Android phones. So this cover it's nice to have, but it also seems to be a pain in the ass to get off. The first one got off fairly simply, but the second one here is kind of sticking. That would be kind of funny, or not so funny, if I were to break this the moment I receive it. Why is this so hard? I guess it's kind of a good thing that it's so hard to take off and put on, but at the same time it is kind of annoying if you want to use that as a always-on cover of sorts. But now let's see what happens if I turn this thing on. Oh, and there's the glorious GoPro sound. I can... What do I see? At the moment I see a GoPro logo. It is asking me for the language, and I am choosing English, of course. Legal stuff. Agree to the terms of service. Of course, GPS. Yes, I want to have GPS. Install the GoPro app on your phone and finish the setup. Leave your camera on and follow the instructions. Luckily, I already have that installed on my iPhone here. So let's put that off. On, add a camera, and that's what I have right here, right now. We found your GoPro. Let's get you started and connected. Connect camera. Okay. So that's fairly fast with the Bluetooth. That's exactly what worked for me just now. The cap from the top it is really hard and more annoying than I would have liked. But at the same time, it really means that the caps are there to stay on. So that's a good thing. And I have to name the camera, save, new camera. And the battery, by the way, is 28% out of the box. Basically, I just put it into the camera without doing anything else. Camera update available. Your GoPro is almost ready. Update your camera software to get the latest GoPro features. Well, let's just do that. And while that is happening, I am going to plug in the USB-C so it has some additional power. And I do have one USB-C cable here. And I am still planning on working on a USB-C charging video, because that's still a topic that is kind of annoying, and at the same time, well, it is just what it is, I guess. But some devices don't support USB-C to USB-C cables. One of those, for example, being the DD VMic Pro 2. So that's something that is really annoying. The GoPro here appears to be charging with a 16 watt output USB-C to USB-C cable. This is a 60 watt cable, so that's all working. It is charging, and now I can try. While it's plugged in, it should let me update, I'm guessing. But yeah, I know that it sometimes is a problem if devices are too empty. Like with the Narbox, it does not let you update unless you are plugged in, so they are actually forcing you to plug in. So that's something. And Scott, sounds like you have a GoPro as well, and do you have also any kind of videos on the topic, or how are you doing with it? To everyone else here, we have the update 1.3 hero mode, enable horizon leveling, power panel mode, time-lapse video, photos, upgrades direct audio capturing, directional, enables 1080 streaming, narrow digital lens, 360 mode adds 30p and 24p to 5.6 mode, as well as 5.6K time warp, enables 360 audio capture and processing. Wow, they are doing quite something with the update, so that's good. At least there is development, and I think I've heard that with the Fusion, and of course I don't really know because I never really was I wasn't as intrigued with the camera. I was intrigued about a year ago when I was traveling in the US. I was kind of really interested in the 360 video market at the time for the reason of being able to capture certain happenings and just the way you can capture travel with a 360 camera that you cannot capture with any other device. So the Fusion was interesting. However, I kind of am happy that I never really got the Fusion, because based on everything that I got to know from, just from how people are now talking about the Fusion, or, apparently it was a great camera, it just wasn't really a very consumer-friendly camera, I would guess. So I am quite happy that I kind of waited until this camera came out, because now I get to enjoy the vastly improved 360 camera from GoPro, which from all I have heard about it is way better than what they were able to offer before, especially in terms of things like usability with the one SD card versus two SD cards in the Fusion, and the app compatibility that you can actually do reframing and stuff like that in the iPhone, using the GoPro Fusion for a media powerhouse for Insta stories and stuff like that. I think that that's one of the most powerful things on this. And I do guess that other cameras have that as well, as like I think I've heard about the Insta 1 or Insta 360 1. I'm not sure about all these cameras because obviously I have never owned any of them. So that's quite something. But yeah, like the GoPro Fusion had all these struggles that I now have heard about on the, like in the last few weeks, waiting for the GoPro Hero Max here to arrive. But I am, like I said, kind of happy that I never really pulled the plug last year, which I almost did. I almost went to a store and just bought one to kind of like capture Brian's head and different places that we were traveling through in the US, and then I would have been able to put some content on the YouTube channel, either just straight up 360 content of certain parks and stuff like that. That was an interesting idea for me to kind of like just do a horseback ride through Bryce Canyon and then use that basically just to capture everything that you are going through, and then you can just kind of like experience the whole travel by yourself in VR or inside this sphere. And as you have heard, the GoPro is actually already up to date now. The GoPro is ready. Go ahead and shoot. Take a few minutes to get to know the GoPro app. Let's connect. And I have to say, like, the monitor looks okay enough, let's say, for using it to kind of like capture whatever is necessary. Let's see, connecting to the Wi-Fi. I've heard about this PC software, and I have also seen that the GoPro app for the Mac is way superior to the Windows version, and they kind of focused on that apparently. And so that's really, it's a sort of a bummer, I guess. For me, it's not that big of a deal because I actually am using a Mac, so in that way, it's kind of not really a problem. I am using iOS, I am using the iPhone as well as a Mac, and I don't have any of the other devices, but it is kind of like, yeah, they currently don't really have the Windows support from all I've heard. So what I am seeing here is a really cool thing, and it's kind of like almost I can make an Inception-like situation here. And that would be really cool if I were to be able to kind of like really show this. But what I am currently experiencing here is that there's the GoPro here, and then I have my phone in my hand, and I am actually able to see on my phone what the camera is seeing, and I'm not sure if I can make this kind of like show up on the live feed here. But yeah, like kind of you can see that on my phone, and as I move my phone, I'm actually experiencing the full range of the camera. So I can fully, this is crazy, it's basically stitched live, and I can literally turn myself around. It is not perfectly stitched. I can see right there is the stitch, so it is visible for me to kind of like see it here in the video. I can also move it around with my hand and kind of like go overhead and everything. So that's really cool that it's almost instantaneous. So there's almost no lag between the camera and the phone in a connected Wi-Fi situation here. I'm sure that that might be different if I were to have a little bit more of a distance between me and the camera. That obviously could change everything. But it is a really cool effect that I can already do that right there, and I can change between hero mode and 360 mode, and just that's really cool to be able to kind of like do that. Now I'm going to go into the settings and just experiencing those for the first time, because that's always what I like to do. I don't like to just hit record and just go. I usually like to go through and change certain things. So what I see here is like I can control voice control and make that on and off. I for now don't want to have that. I also don't use the beeps. I know that they're really useful if you are doing some kind of a head strap or helmet mount or stuff like that. So that's not what I'm doing usually, so that's why I am muting them. because it's usually like I don't want to have any annoyances go around. That's basically it. Like if I am with family or stuff, I don't want the camera to be like beep beep beep. LEDs, they can be all on, that's fine. I want to know when it's capturing. Quick capture is on quick capture default. I can apparently change between Hero and 360. That's powerful. I don't know yet. That's something that I have to get used to with the camera first to kind of like see if it is any useful or what mode I might want to use most with quick capture. But I can change whether or not I want to use it in last used, Hero video, 360 video, Hero photo, Hero power pano, 360 photo, Hero time warp, Hero time lapse, or 360 time warp. So there's a really powerful, like I can really do a lot here, and that's quite cool with the default preset. I guess that's when the camera starts up, which mode should be the first mode that is selected. And I can imagine that my tendency feels like it could be 360 photo mode when I turn on the camera, or last used. Either one of those might work really well. When should it turn off? Let's keep it at 15 minutes. 1 minute time screensaver, that's fine for me. LCD brightness 80% is also okay. The orientation, landscape and locked, that's okay, let's keep it. GPS is turned on, anti-flicker, 60 Hz and 24 Hz. That's the tricky question. I am in Europe and I don't really know which one I should choose, but that's something that I can try out. Video compression, most compatible or high efficiency. Why not choose high efficiency while I'm on a Mac and all the programs are already supporting that, so that's there. Set date and time. Magic happening with the phone doing its time synchronization there, so that's really helpful. I can format the SD card, which I am going to do, just so it's clean and empty, and I know that there's already nothing on there, so that's good. Then we have the version info, locate the camera, then it's going to just beep, and I can turn that off. Use with current Wi-Fi remote, use with new Wi-Fi remote, and Bluetooth devices. Okay, so there's just the stuff for the Bluetooth device connections, remotes and stuff like that. And then we have the SD card capacity. Something interesting to note here, it says that I can do 2 hours of video recording on a 64 gig card, and I can also take 7,600 photos. That's quite helpful to just be able to even see that. Then I can 360 video 5.6K. Oh, nice. On the app, already be able to change all these settings, which mode to kind of like choose from, and be able to kind of like select the resolution and everything. Interesting that it only lets me choose 5.6K for 360, and it lets me choose 24 or 30 frames for the 360 mode. And I have probably going to stick with the 24, 360, 5.6K. Short clip length, 15 or 30 seconds, 124, 1696. That's nice. ISO, min and max, white balance, sharpness. Usually like to keep that at low so I can change it in post. The colors I can use flat or GoPro. Sadly, they do not support ProTune for the video mode in 360, and I don't think they do it for Hero mode either. That's something that I don't like that much. Audio's 360 plus stereo. And then we have wind to auto on or off, and I'm going to keep that on auto. Camera on-screen shortcuts, upper left to be... Okay, that's cool that I can kind of like place other functionalities on the screen that I might want to change. And I would guess that I want to be able to change the shutter. But this is just basically me really guessing because I have no idea what might be important for me in the long run, whether it's mics or wind or who knows what. I'm just going to put two things there so I have it there. Then we have the photo mode, and I'm going to see what I can do there. Timer 3 seconds is a good idea. Shutter automatic, that's good. Same thing, sharpness low immediately, colors flat and GoPro, so there's no Pro Tune for photos either. And those are some things that I might I would like to have as a future upgrade to the 360 mode and also the GoPro Hero Max, GoPro Max. It would be really cool to see if they come up with a way to make Pro Tune work on this with a software update. And also raw capture for the 360 photo. So that would be really, really cool. Even though I don't think I'm not sure if that might be something that ever comes to the GoPro Max. I have the shortcuts. Upper left is timer, and upper right I'm going to put ISO max maybe. So the timer is either 10 seconds or 30 seconds. I wonder if there's like a time-lapse mode. So now there's 360 time warp 5.6 at 10 times the speed, 50 times, 15 times or 13 times. That's like the speed change that I can choose from. Same thing goes here. I don't have a shutter speed, that's automatic. I don't want the sharpening. And I want speed at the upper left, and then let's do ISO max at the upper right. And the interesting part there, okay, so that automatically started the time warp. In video, I can do, like now I'm in 360 video, of course. Now, if I switch to the hero mode, now I'm in time warp. I can also switch to time lapse, so that's kind of cool. Where it only takes, like it takes time lapse video, and I can choose between 140/40 and 1080 what my field of view should be. Max. Okay, so it's basically like it's a field of view for like the max SV. I'm guessing that's like a ultra panorama kind of hero mode. You can also choose wide, linear, and narrow. Interval format should be time-lapse photo or time-lapse video. I really like the time-lapse photo mode, and I would love to be able to have that for the 360 mode, so that I could change that to actually just take photos in like a time-lapse fashion. Seems like that's also not a functionality that they're currently providing, even in, yeah, so I can do panorama, 3-second timer, level horizon. What does that mean, level horizon? Okay, so it means that it always will be level no matter what you do with the camera. And that's kind of a cool feature. At the same time, I will have to play around with that to see if that makes any sense. Because I can imagine that I want to point the camera the way that I want to point it. Especially if I want to do something upside down or stuff like that. So in hero mode, I can imagine that I might actually I might not want to have the level from the automatic horizon leveling. I want to have the lens selection. No, that's already there. Well, let's do the lens there and the timer there. Because in photo mode, changing to super view or wide view and then having a timer to take photos. I think that that's quite helpful. That's cool, being able to switch between those two modes. Like I said, in hero mode, time warp or time lapse is available. I can choose in time lapse if I want that to be photos or video. and I can change the lens, the interval. So the lens is on the left. I want to change the interval on the right. Oh no, let's do the interval on the left because it's the timer on the other. The sharpness is again, so that's kind of annoying. Sharpness is in every single mode. I have to change it everywhere. But I can change the lens as well as the interval from these shortcuts. Time-lapse is a time-lapse video, but I'm probably going to use time-lapse photo more often. And do the interval there, and the lens there. Sharpness low again. And the time warp, I'm going to also do sharpness low. Do the speed there, and the lens there. Then on video mode, I want to do 1080. Probably 60, just keeping that there. Having hyperthmos on, short flip lengths no, level horizon. Gonna try it off because I don't really know what's going to happen there. Then we have the sharpness on low. And I want to have lens and horizon leveling. That's a good idea, I would say, because I'm not so sure on this feature. Like, I have seen people say that it kind of drifts if it doesn't really have a horizon. But yeah, that's kind of like a trial and error. Raw audio, off, low, or medium, or high. Guessing high because I might want to work with that. And then wind noise reduction is automatic, so that's kind of bitrate high, of course. Okay, so that's the video mode for the hero. And then we have the photo. Let's just check that. Sharpness low, 360 timer and lens. And then we have the panorama. And we do sharpness on low as well. And then we have live. And that's interesting. I can live stream directly to YouTube, but only in hero mode. So if I want to set that up, I'm just gonna go over and do that. So that it's ready to go if and when I choose to use it. And there we go, Google account setup. Choosing the right account. Yes. And that's already linked up. And there's no 360 streaming with the Macs, but at least they have the live streaming. And I can now, just to kind of like give you an overview here, I then choose the network. So apparently it will connect to the Wi-Fi itself, or it will go to the personal hotspot. I can say that it should be public, unlisted, or whatever I want. Public and unlisted are the options. Streaming live from my hashtag GoPro, so you can change the title. You can change the resolution. It's all the way up to 1080p, but they are recommending Wi-Fi if you want to do that. And then you can say save a high resolution version to my SD card, and the account that you want to stream for is showing up, and then you can set up the live stream. And right now I would have to set up the network, but I'm not going to do that because reasons. And it's not the reason, like not the main feature that I am looking for, honestly. I think it might be an interesting tool for these types of live streaming where I really want to use my computer full power and have something like this GoPro that can live stream all by itself, and I can just do that. But other than that, I think that the live streaming is more of it's a fun little feature, I guess. But yeah, so the hero mode, I can turn around the camera, and that's really, really cool that I have that ability. There's one. Okay. And then of course there's the GoPro Hero 8 and Max contest that I'm kind of excited about, which is going to run all through January 15th or something like that. And people that get selected will get a certain cut of $1 million. So that's one of the reasons, or one reason that made it a little more enticing to get this new camera. One, to play around with it and obviously put it into my tool basket, be able to play around, see what I can come up with in this medium of 360, use it for Insta stories, use it for my videos, use it for live streaming, use it for my new ideas and my situational change that is going to happen in the near future. And I really am enjoying the speed at which everything is working right now. So that's definitely something that I am quite amazed by looking at this, just seeing how it already is capturing how fast. Like if I wave here, it's almost instantaneous, there's barely any lag. So that's really powerful. And I mentioned before, of course this might be because I am literally standing right next to the camera, but at the same time it is unbelievably fast. Now, I have heard that there is also presets on the GoPro Hero 8 in terms of shooting styles and stuff like that, and I don't see that on this camera yet or on the software update. And I want to just reiterate, I installed the latest software just when it was starting the first time, and it's 1.30, and with that, yeah, all the new stuff with live streaming and other functionalities that they improved upon. And oh, now it's taking a power panel. Okay. And there's apparently no preview available for that, but let's see what happens. Oh, wow. Those are amazing. I'm definitely going to enjoy those, I'm pretty damn sure. I'm really amazed at how fast the previews are coming up for those things, and are organizable. And I really like how the connection between between iOS and the camera works in terms of the functionality of everything. With Bluetooth, it's already recognized. It's just like pair it and be done. It automatically does all the Wi-Fi settings, so that's really cool. I did not ever have to leave the app and go into my settings app to manually go into the Wi-Fi. Definitely something that I hate about all kinds of cameras that are doing that. It is so incredibly annoying when camera manufacturers don't really pay attention to that. And I have to say that even the Canon EOS R, for example, is one of those pain points. And I'm not entirely sure if that is because I am running the latest iOS 13 version and Canon is just super slow in updating their software to those kind of next generation iOS versions. But it's just the most annoying thing ever to have a camera that's incredibly powerful and has Wi-Fi and has Bluetooth, and then you have a phone that is still fairly new and you have the latest version on there as well, and then you start up the app and you have to do all things manual. The live view never really starts, so like just a pain. And this seems to be just like it really just works. And I am now noticing that it is flickering like crazy on the screen, and I remember there was a setting in here somewhere, so I'm going to go to 50 Hertz mode and click done. I'm kind of guessing that that helps, and it does actually help, and it is no longer flickering. And there we have the 360 video. I'm going to just do one more test here because I want to go into hero mode, 360, and the frame rate, and that's good. So in 50 Hertz mode, which is like the PAL and US versus Europe and stuff like that, now I can go up to 60 frames a second or 50 frames in 50 Hertz mode in 180p. And I can also go up to 60 frames a second in 1440. But the aspect ratio changes if I do that. So for me, most likely, either I'm going to 50 frames a second and just use that because it's fun to sometimes have slow motion, or I'm just going to use the 24 frames a second for being able to do the vlog style video. Now, how can I record this? Well, let's just try this. What happens if I do a... Oh, this is interesting. I'm just kind of like moving around with the preview, and I'm now moving the camera through the stitch line, which is right at the 180 degrees of the lens for obvious reasons. And it is kind of interesting what happens there, because there's a certain cut moment where the phone disappears for a little while. And the interesting thing is that if I take a photo, and let's just check what happens if I do that. And there's a 3-second timer as per usual. And then it's taking the photo. And let's just see how that looks. And I can most definitely see a cut line. And let's see if I can freeze that. Right there, I can see a certain coloring and stuff like that from that cut line, from that, how do you call that correctly? I'm not entirely sure. But I definitely see the potential in this device and like playing around with it. If you are here and watching live, feel free to ask any questions regarding the GoPro Max. I just unpacked it. I have never tested it really. I'm currently just playing around with the different modes, seeing kind of like what this device can do for me, what settings I might have to be wary of and just keep in mind. But I'm definitely here to help you if you are wondering anything about it. So yeah. Now, let's just see what happens if I actually go into the menus on the Hero Max itself on the display here. You all probably know the display here. Let's see if it focuses there. I have to kind of hide my face so it does that. So you can see there the monitor on the camera, and also, oh, this might be the issue of the previously seen crop line. The camera was turned in a way that the crop line had a little bit of a red, sort of like a red smudge in the crop line. That might be the cable here. So if I were to unplug that, but I currently want to just charge it full up and be able to pack it away and be able to use it as soon as I want to use it. So that might have been that, and so that would make the crop way less problematic. So let's see here on the screen. There you can see you can't really turn these, but you can do gestures on there. So changing between modes is swiping left and right. So I'm going from photo to from time-lapse to video to photo mode. And if I am in photo mode, I have the button at the top, at the bottom right-hand corner, which lets me switch between the lenses because currently I am in hero mode. If I go into 360 mode, yep, that I know, I still can't look around. So even in 360 mode, it does not let me look around in a way. So What can I do? Lens switch. Toggle between the front lens and the back lens. So now I'm in hero mode here. You can toggle between front and back lens, which can be quite helpful in vlogging, because you don't have to turn anything, you can just do that by itself. If you are in 360 mode, same thing applies. I can just switch which video I want to be previewing, if I want to see myself, or if I want to see what other things I am viewing. I can do, I'm not sure what I set at a shortcut there, and I can change the shutter speed to match or to be able to fix that. So for example, I could put it at 148 to be correct, so to speak, for this type of video capture. And it's quite, like, it's really useful that they are giving me the ability to do all these things. So to be able to change all these settings ourselves, do the menu on the screen, to be able to have a screen, to be able to have a touch interface where you actually are able to do all these things and yeah, just make all these settings. Now the only thing that's really missing is that you can't, like, even though they have the menu for it already, like that, it kind of screams that they are going to add other preset modes that you can basically build for yourself. So you can make a video preset that is in high frame rate and one that is in 24 frames a second. I think that that's what they have provided on the GoPro Hero 8, and I'm kind of guessing that that would come here as well, because right now there's almost, like, there's literally the interface for it already. So once you are here in this mode, and let's just keep that focus here, and this is kind of like, right now it's in video mode, and if I click in the middle here, you can see that I can change the settings of this line where it says 360 video, and I can even scroll, but obviously there's nothing to scroll. And now the beautiful thing would be if that were to become a menu point where you can make your own presets for that, in terms of color, shutter speed, like all these kind of settings, to be able to preset that for different modes would be a really, really cool feature. Time-lapse 360 photo. Kind of guess, like, I'm currently guessing how to preview things, but oh, there we go. So coming down from the top, I get a menu that has voice activation. I can do the beeps. I can have a rabbit. Quick capture. Okay, so I can change that. I can lock everything. I can lock the orientation, and I can go into the connections, general settings, speed, volume, check. So that's really cool. You can do all these settings, everything that I am able to do with the phone, I can also do here. Powerful. Very happy with that. And I can see whether or not phone is connected, date, and stuff like that. Touch screen, regional, GPS on. Okay. And reset everything. And now, what if I want? No. Oh, okay. Can turn on a grid. Cool thing. And I can preview the photos and videos and stuff like that. But you can't really look around. So that's something that the GoPro does not support. You have to kind of use your phone if you want to have a spherical experience. Come on. Preview everything. There we go. Okay, multi-select tool. Oh, keep everything. Good. Okay, So I guess really this concludes kind of like my walkthrough. This is kind of like what I usually do when I receive a new device. I am going to just play with it like I have right now. Just trying out all the features, all the settings and stuff like that. And the next step really is to literally start using this thing. The big question there is to kind of like learn how to think 360. Because however much work the device takes off your hands, it still is like it's a completely new way of thinking about photography and videos. I have tried coming up with ideas for this. I have thought about kind of like ways to like what will this open up? How am I going to like what can I do here, right? Like, and I guess I will have to see and just try out a whole bunch of things and see what happens. The amazing thing, like I just mentioned, there's no need necessarily for the phone at all times. So that's something that is really good, really cool, that I can just pull this out of my pocket and create something. And I think that the ease of which you can just shoot something and then reframe it on your phone is also incredibly powerful. And I think that I'm going to do that right now as like one of the last steps here. I'm going to just try out what it does or what it feels like and what it sounds like to do somewhat of a Insta story. And the additional challenge there will be that I'm going to just do it on my phone. So I'm going to just use this room, which won't be here, or I won't be in this room in about a week or so. So it's kind of like a cool way of also capturing this, or also capturing rooms of the future. So that's another thing. Maybe a kind of like a side note on the GoPro and what it will open up in terms of opportunities and what it can do for me. I have thought about capturing rooms and architecture / walkthrough kind of video and photography. So that's another idea here, to potentially use the GoPro Hero Max or GoPro Max, I think, if they ever come out with a DNG raw photography. That would be that much more of a game changer. But even this way, in the small town that I live in, something like this, and I've seen videos on this topic, that it really is an incredibly interesting device or idea to capture walkthroughs of homes with 360 material. And there's these platforms online where you can then have a link of an apartment, for example, where people can just see it for themselves without seeing it. Or capturing it before and after they renovate, stuff like that. And I think that that's another really interesting use case for these devices, even though I might not be in that space quite yet. But at the same time, it's really interesting, and I'm just thinking about all the things and all the ways that this could even be used. For me, we basically have 2 apartments that are in my family that are going to be completely switched or changed in the next couple of weeks and months. And that's another reason or use case for this. I of course know the kind of like the Street View app on the iPhone and also on Android, and I loved kind of like capturing 360 materials there and offering my material. And I never really how do you say? On Google Street View and just putting these spheres on hikes, for example. That's really cool, and I love that. However, it's an incredibly annoying process of this like snap, 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 snap. And so this will make all of that much more easy. And I'm very much looking forward to being able to capture this kind of work or like this kind of material with the camera that I now have. Yeah, and try it out, and also capture my own private spaces, so to speak, or like the spaces that are, yeah, family owned, and basically building a walkthrough to remember places that might not be there in 10 years. I think that that's really an interesting way of archiving your life in a way. Now, what I am finding right now is, or what I'm trying, just playing around with this again. I am right now playing around with the trying to set up the GoPro Hero, GoPro Max, to be connected to the Street View app for direct publishing and stuff like that. However, if that doesn't work, it also works to just take the photo on the Hero, take the photo on the Max, save it to the camera roll, and then upload it. But what I want is to just go in here and then say link external camera, and I want to see if that works. Camera not found. I don't know how you want, like how you would do that. Link external camera, troubleshooting. So you can't really do that apparently. So the first thing that I tried here was just to link the camera. Now I'm in the Wi-Fi off the camera, but that's not really working. GoPro. Max. Not found. So looks like there's just gonna be the manual way of doing this, which is fine and works probably just as well. The more interesting challenge will be to simply actually make the video that I just talked about and try out what that will be like and what I can create for my Insta story to post there, and then have a evening because it's already kind of late. Let's see what's the difference between these two. So we're going to just undo this one, which feels a little. This one feels more sturdy. However, I don't know. It feels a little weird that that's sticking out so far and everything, and I guess that's just normal for GoPro mounts. But I don't know. It would be cool if it would be a little shorter or something, or just fitting in a little better. And I guess it's important to know which side you are doing that with, because otherwise you can't really open that flap anymore. So that's something to kind of just, I guess, think about when you are screwing it in, so you are keeping the availability of this. So I am now in 360 video mode, and what I am going to do is I am going to just shoot a little video and then see how I can edit and how do you say? That I can edit and share it on my phone into the Insta story. Yeah, let's just try that. Just unplug this so we don't have that, what we had earlier. And just one of the first things that I noticed when I just picked it up, and I'm now holding it in my hand and like seeing myself on there, the first thing that comes to my mind is it is super weird not to have to point it at anything, and it just films everything. And I am having my I'm having my phone as another monitor, so to speak, and I'm just now like I have this little tripod here and I'm just putting it there. I'm zooming all the way out, and it's just so it's just such a weird experience to kind of like just do that, and it all this change on the screen, it's kind of crazy going. It's it's just such a rethinking of everything. It's like it doesn't really matter if you're on the screen, if you're visible, if you're not. You just know that like if you keep yourself away from the sidelines and the crop the combination lines, like the 180 degrees, like as long as I keep myself in here, for the most part, everything's going to be fine. And that's really interesting. It's just so, it's such a weird feeling. It's like you want to do this, right? Like you want to have some kind of an angle so that you can see yourself, but then you have the problem that you have a stick inside of the frame. So it's really, I think that that's going to be a really an interesting little challenge to rethinking and to do that. And now I just will have to, like, I'm going to have a little bit of a weird hand based on what I'm seeing here. Let's just see what. Yeah, it's just the hand is a little bit of a strange thing, I guess, but that's going to be something that I have to work with. But now I'm just trying to, wrap my head around this, how that works, and shoot a little video trying this out and seeing what happens. Hello, I am now flying out for the first time ever. GoPro finally arrived today, and I'm playing around with this on my recent live stream going on right on the other side of this one. Push around. Here's the thing of how you point this or not point it at all. Just I can just move around, everything is fine. Moving. And I think that that's powerful, incredible, and everything like that. At the same time, it will look very intimidating. If you come up with new ideas of what I found, you can definitely be looking at this place free as post on it. I might just turn into center some kind of planet like that. I have. This is the first time playing around with it. I find it incredible. I find it incredibly intriguing, and I'm going to document all of this by using with this. I'm very sure how often I'm going to take that one over there, big faulty Canon EOS R. How often this one. The greatest touch to such an interesting kind of new shooting. And now it's just incredible. For more like this, whenever I will play here. So have a nice one. Ciao. So, okay, now that we have that, I'm just going to also take one photo. It's the weirdest feeling. Like I just said, it's just so incredibly weird. Let's see if I can place this here. Oh, and keep charging. Now I wanna. This, like, the charging now is, it doesn't really have any particular it doesn't really have any reason for the use right now. It's just that it's half empty and I want to just put it into my bag as soon as I am leaving and going out again. So that's the reason why I'm plugging it in. And I'm also going to switch my desk to a sitting position because I do not want to stand all evening or now trying out this video. I guess an interesting part would be to eventually have some kind of a setup where I can live stream my phone screen as well. But at the moment I only have the one camera that you are currently seeing in the stream. Also, by the way, if anyone is annoyed by the music, if it's too loud or stuff like that, please let me know, because right now I'm not monitoring that. I am focused on just being here. And yeah, I thought that having a little bit of a nice background music might be helpful. Or more enjoyable, let's say that. Now I can here load the video and I can look around, and again I am definitely seeing the kind of like the crop line and stuff like that. And here, let's see. Okay, so... oh, I can trim it? Okay. Oh, okay. I can decide from where to start and where to end the video. Okay, so I'm going to trim that and save. Save it as a new clip because that's apparently all I can do. Let's see. Now it's okay. So now it's saving it to the app gallery. Let's just cancel that for now because I want to try out whatever else I can do. Turn stabilization off, turn gyroscope off, and info. So one thing that's interesting here is it's a 1 GB file and it is about 2 minutes in length. So that means that capturing this 5.6K 360 content, it is intense on the storage. Which is another reason why I love to have the hero mode, because it gives me the freedom to actually be able to simply use that instead of being forced to always shooting in the 360 mode. And that makes or brings just that much more of an ability, much more of a freedom of creativity. Because shooting 5.6K is just not feasible in the long term, but it is most certainly an amazing tool for this type of mini video. Now I am seeing that I can either save a frame, which is also interesting. 5.6K frame is pretty much probably enough, so that's cool. I can reorient, I can download the whole clip, I'm guessing. Yep, I can do that. And I can trim it. But from what I noticed, trimming it is a lot of work for the device. That might be interesting if I were to just capture, let's say, 15 seconds of this video, but because right now for me this is a video that's going to be from start to finish, and I'm going to use it from start to finish. And I'm not going to just use a little bit of a tiny clip. So I'm downloading the full 2-minute clip, which is a gigabyte-sized file, to my computer, to my phone here, which is the iPhone 7 Plus. I am considering upgrading to the new 11 Pro Max, however that has not happened yet. And with everything, it might have to wait for a little while, but now I'm just gonna try and play around with this. So we'll see how much I can do here. 30 seconds remaining. So it's a quick transfer from the GoPro to the phone, which is nice. And then we'll see what the GoPro app has to offer in terms of 360 reframing. And I also would have the LumaFusion app, but I have no idea if they already support 360 content or not. 3 seconds. 2, 1. Saved. Media in GoPro app. It's all in the GoPro app gallery. See it, share it, or save it to your phone. View in media. Okay, and that's where this cloud storage and stuff comes in as well, but it's not something that I necessarily need right now. I can now, again, trim again. I can also reframe. Direct your video by choosing interesting views in your media. Let's start. Drag, rotate, zoom. Choose your first view. That's it's a really interesting challenge to get used to what you are actually able to do here, and like how the view can look. Now I got my first view. Save it with a keyframe. Great, now choose another view. Make it interesting. Turn 180. Drag, rotate, zoom. I'm going to just it's really a lot because there's just so many variables. Play it back, watch the video transition between the keyframes. Okay, so that's interesting. I want to do a 9x16. I want to delete this keyframe. I want to up here, then go all the way to the back, up there, done. I wonder what happens if I cut something out completely. Delete this one. Okay, so let's make this a keyframe. And let's just do it just like not even a second after I want to be in my face. Keyframe that. Can I move? Okay, so I can just trash it and then no trim. Let's do that. Delete that. some kind of speed ramping. I have no idea what exactly. Saving my first frame here. Checking the box. Why? Okay. That's a little bit of annoying. I cannot really play it from wherever I want. Okay, so one of the most annoying parts of this is right now that I cannot really play from wherever I have the playhead. So I'm hoping that that's going to be changed. And also moving keyframes. And I don't really like the OK button is kind of everywhere. Let's, come on. Yeah. Most annoying part, not starting from the playhead play position. It's just playing from the start every single time. Incredibly annoying. I'm really, really hopeful that they're changing that at some point, that you can play from wherever the playhead is already placed. So now I'm going to try to trim all of this. Trim there. Trim at the end, and now I honestly just did not really do much editing in the middle, for the sole reason that I can't reframe, I can't play back later, and now it crashed. So let's see how much of my editing is still there. There's no editing saved whatsoever, and the app just crashed on me. That's a problem. That's a major annoyance. I'm just going to try what happens if I... What is this? This is just the trim. Yes. Okay, now I'm going to just download the whole... .360 support is limited. Not all apps will support 360 content. For the best experience, share to Facebook and YouTube. Don't show this again. Got it. Files too large. YouTube's upload limit is 90 seconds. Try creating a shorter clip. That's not so cool. And I'm not even allowed to save the 360 video to my camera roll. So that's another interesting point here that I did not know about. However, I can save it to the Files app, and I can also save it to like send it on all kinds of apps. So now I'm going to save it to files. It's calculating because it's apparently now rendering. Now, okay, so now it's rendering the file into a MP4 from whatever. Oh, it's stitching the file. So it hasn't quite stitched the file yet. Before, like right now, it's still kind of like in a in-between phase, I guess. That's quite interesting to know, but at the same time, it is. Yeah, just I have no idea what exactly is going on right now. I find it terribly annoying that it crashed. I find it even worse that I can't play from the playhead position in the editor. Without that, longer videos are basically impossible to edit, I would say. I would I would just like I am crossing both of my fingers here or both of my hands that they are going to add that functionality as soon as possible, that when you are reframing that you don't have to start from the start every single time, because this might work if you have 15-second clips to just watch the whole clip, but if you want to do anything that is a little longer and you edit it on the GoPro app, it's just not going to work like that. That's just not an option, and yeah, I'm hopeful that that's something that is going to be fixed fairly soon. The other thing that I'm going to, of course, try out and figure out is how I can then edit the files from the GoPro itself on my computer with Premiere Pro. So that's going to be another step, or also just to see if the files are stitched in camera or what kind of files are on there. Maybe I just should do that right now, because it's not. The camera is right now it's turned off and the file is already on my phone, and I'm just gonna pull this out, and somewhere around here I have my SD card reader, but I have to have the adapter. So one SD adapter, one SD card reader. And the phone's still stitching, by the way. 4 minutes remaining. Let's see what the Finder has to say about this file that I just plugged in here. So it is it's called a 360 file. And right now I have only, I'm guessing that the only app that can really open this file is the GoPro player. And it seems like, and that would kind of make sense, that the GoPro player is basically the only app that can read these files. And did something crash? No. Okay. Okay, so the GoPro player is not really launching. And I installed this beforehand just to already have it basically have it ready to go for when I get the camera, because this is one of the this is part, I'm not sure if I would watch a whole live stream like I am creating right now, like a 2-hour thing, but I think that that's something that is quite valuable, to have a view into what's going on with this camera. Like, what do you have to do to get it to work? And yeah, I'm just now experiencing that and figuring out that the app that I need is, at least right now, not starting. And now I have a Finder that is locked up, And I'm going to try to relaunch it, but that might actually crash the live stream, so bear with me if that happens. I'm just gonna restart OBS then. But for now it seems like it did not crash OBS, so that's good. And we're going to start the Finder again. The macOS Finder crashed for some reason. Now I'm not getting Finder window. There we are. And now I'm going to just start the GoPro app by itself first. Okay, so now it offers me that it wants to read some kind of a file. And I'm just gonna drag and drop the 1 gig 360 file that we just created. And I also have the photos that I just created as well, and I'm going to open these and I'm going to just throw them into Lightroom because I also want to know what happens if I am doing that. But for some reason the my SD card reader ejects every now and then. Maybe actually that's the part of the problem. Now I'm just telling it to copy those 4 files. That's the photos as well as the 360 video. And my phone's still on the way of stitching. So we have 1 minute and 20 seconds remaining. And there we have a JPEG copied. Okay, so now like I mentioned, I don't have the screen sharing set up right now, but the panel, the Ultra panel, really looks amazing. The stitch line is barely visible here in the 270-degree photo, and that's quite powerful. Even though I'm not entirely sure how much I will use this panorama functionality. Even though it is quite interesting, it's 4320 by 1440, which amounts to 4320. 440. So it's about 6 megapixels, I guess. Yeah. Oh, there we go. So now the output file can be saved somewhere on my phone here, and I'm just gonna put it. Maybe I'm just gonna make a 360, and I'm going to just name this first date 2019, and what today is the 24th, I think, 28th. First try. Done. Save. Okay, so after the stitching there was barely any processing to actually store it in my Files app on my computer. However, what I'm also noticing is the transfer is terribly slow, and especially for the video file. I'm just going to try another reader here because I am not really trusting that that is a normal thing. If I now, this is something else to try, I have the video file here, and as you can see, I am honestly I'm honestly confused, but this may be normal. I was holding, like if I'm holding this up, you can see that I am actually at the sides of the screen, so I'm left and right here, which is weird because I actually held the camera in front of me so that I am looking into one of the lenses. So the stitched video is apparently, for some reason, stitched in a way that the part that is in front of the camera is cut in half, which I honestly don't quite understand, because why would that make any sense? But I have no prior experience with 360 video and everything, so I have no idea why that would be. But yeah, like I literally held it so that I am looking into the camera and now I'm cut in half, which it kind of has the, like, for me it has the feeling of being not necessarily the smartest way of stitching it together, because why not do the stitch line there? Why not do the already less quality part there? Maybe that just happened because I had it framed that way when it was exporting. I have no idea. But what I want to be trying is what happens if I now import this into LumaFusion. And in LumaFusion I have a project open, and this project is also 9x16 vertical, 24 frames, and frame rate 24, vertical, new iPhone portrait, all kinds of anamorphic photo. Yeah, so I'm just keeping the frame rate at that. Preview balanced, snapshot, okay. That's fine. And I'm just now going into the Files app, or like Files, and then I'm going to link this folder here, 360 videos, and if I take this and plug it in here, frame fit, okay. Okay, so it does not look like it is 360 right now. Now I'm just gonna throw that into LumaFusion video. Apparently it does feature 360. I'm going to just have a look how they actually do that. And they already have, apparently, they have that since a couple years ago.
2007.
Okay, as you might be able to hear, the aspect ratio 2:1 setting and stuff like that, that sounds more like a feature of you are able to export a 360 video. However, the reframing part is not mentioned here. Luma Fusion. I'm asking if editing in Luma Fusion has the 360 reframing so that I can literally use 360 video inside of Luma Fusion. Well, I have to go for a second, and we'll be back with that in a moment. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so there I am back. However, from all I have found, LumaFusion does not seem to be able to handle 360 reframing right now. I think that that would be really powerful to have as a feature inside of LumaFusion, being able to export or like just bring over the full video from the GoPro, for example, and then output it to 16:9 or 9:16 and reframe inside of that app, especially for being able to connecting different shots. I think that that would be incredibly powerful and helpful. At least that's how I would love to do the workflow. Now I'm curious to kind of like see what other ways of 360 we are going to be, or like I am going to be making with this camera anyways. And if it is actually just a workflow that I will be working with in terms of just doing the 360 on, or like inside the GoPro app, and then throwing the already reframed version over to LumaFusion, possible as well. Okay, so this video did not work at all. So this is something that I will have to kind of like read on or learn about in terms of what it means to reframe and what devices you, like what you can use to actually do that process. Because right now it looks like what I thought I could be doing is not actually what people are doing or what is normal to do. And I'm curious to see how that will affect things, how I'm going to be able to just how I'm able to at some point will find a way to do what I am asking this workflow to do for me. Really? Now I ate a fly. That's gross. Since one of my card readers did not really want to transfer the files, or at least not at the speed that I would like to, I'm just gonna try a second card reader. Interesting side note, the faster card reader did not read the files from that camera, even though it's a UHS 2 card reader, and now it's a UHS 1 card reader, and it actually read the files no problem and put them on So let's click preview here. What happens if you preview that? Okay, so there's just a little preview file. Now I'm going to open it with GoPro Player app. GoPro Player did not really, well, it's hanging again. So this does not seem all too trivial for computer and phone, and like everybody's kind of, like all the devices are kind of struggling with the 360 content apparently. So now I have the Fusion here, or no, not the Fusion, the GoPro Max. I have the file on my computer, and basically it looks like the it's pretty much the same mechanism here. With the trackpad, it seems like you can basically do the same thing. Roll is a little harder. So you can zoom and do all those things and everything. But what I'm wondering, I can also reframe. I can have the world clock, the horizon level, recenter everything, rotate, hold control, and click so I can rotate, recenter, zoom in and out. Can change the projection, whether I want to have the GoPro lens, which is already rendered or not. Playback resolution I can change, and then there's extract current frame, reframe, and trim. Export as 5.6K. Custom, let's see what I can do if I hit custom there. I guess I'm just gonna try one last thing because I am not going to I'm probably going to close this stream and then do the editing that I planned to be doing on my phone, just relaxing on the couch a little bit. But generally speaking, okay, so now I can H.264 is export speed slow. Let's see. That. What is this? Quality good, file size big, and export is fast if I do ProRes. No hardware acceleration. And I want full 5.6K ProRes. Because the main reason what I'm trying here out is also just how much of a drag on my system is this going to be? How much work does my computer need to be doing for this? So now if I have a shot and I just want to export it in full length, I have to name it, which is also something like, why don't you just call yourself the same way that it was before? And I am going to look the 2 GB GoPro file coming from the camera. Going to export that as a ProRes file, and it's going to take a while, it looks like, because right now I'm just seeing that it's 2%, so that seems to be something that's going to take a while. The interesting thing also would be what happens if I have multiple of these files. Can I batch process them, or am I going to have to do that one by one? So I have no idea about that right now. I can still reframe even though the export's going, so that's something. and I have no idea if Premiere Pro will support the 360 files just out of the box. That definitely a possibility, however not very likely, or at least I'm not quite sure if that's a thing. Yeah. I wanted to try what happens if I also put these in Lightroom, so I'm just gonna open up Lightroom Classic here while being in that process. Okay, so the 2-minute ProRes export is taking way longer than the file length. It's a 2-minute file, and right now I'm at 8%, and that's just about, I don't know, almost a minute in or something like that. So not so sure how, like, it's just gonna be a little bit of a pain, but that's also what I already knew coming into this. It's what everybody says online. It's 360 content still is a lot of work for your devices, and that's just not as, like, it's not very different from what I expected. Let's say that. Even though it is annoying and definitely something that I would prefer to be different, if the camera were to already, for example, if the camera could already handle that or give me the right files and not store it in this proprietary system, but maybe that's just the way that it has to be for the camera to be able to actually provide that right speed, and then the stitching has to be done in the aftermath. Maybe in a couple of years we will find that the camera can handle the stitching already in camera properly. Maybe we can also find a codec that the different manufacturers might be able to use so that they don't have to all have their own system. That would be really cool. Import. Why am I not able to import files in Lightroom here? There we go. Now give me the desktop. I'm in the process of getting to know all that this gives me, or all the capabilities, and just testing it all out. I am now also importing the photos that I took onto my computer into Lightroom, just to see if they are in any way or shape or form compatible. Right now it looks like it's just a 360 file. It's a flat 360 file, but at least it looks like it actually took a photo and put me in the center, and it did not do this weird thing where it cuts the person that's like in this, like, if I'm looking into the lens, I want to be having that as my center, I guess. On the other hand, now I also, like, I might be able to understand that, because if I am in the center when I'm looking into it 360 degrees, like 180 degrees from that, it might depend on the camera that I have selected, whether or not I have the front or the back camera selected in the main screen, so that might change that. I'm just yeah, learning about all this, but let's see if Lightroom has anything to do with 360. Okay, so Photoshop can handle it, but it looks like Lightroom itself does not support 360 photography, except for, of course, I can do all kinds of effects. But what I'm looking for is the reframing part. And Lightroom CC might actually support what I'm looking for, but the powerful stuff. Like, lots of people are doing crazy things with 360 content. Lots of work going into that, but it's lots to learn. Lots to learn. Definitely what I am learning right now is that there is tons and tons to learn about this kind of medium. Would have been a good idea to actually maybe even look into this beforehand, but I guess not. So it is now. Lens correction. What happens if I do that? Okay. That's so fun. So when I go in here and select the GoPro Fusion as the camera in Lightroom, it basically tries to, I don't know, it tries to do something, but it doesn't, like, it's not really helpful at all. Details. I'm liking the colors so far. I might want to bring back some vibrancy here. Because from what I'm gathering, or what my idea here is, I'm not really, like, it's going to do the same thing in my edit. What file size is this? Now it's 2 gigs. I can do the color corrections and stuff like that. I can play around with those things in Lightroom. And it's not necessarily going to be the most perfect, or I don't know, it's not going to be easy necessarily to edit these files in Lightroom, but at the same time it's just my editor of choice, I would say, and so why not use that? Again, sadly, we don't really have the raw capabilities of this, so that's a little bit annoying and is not necessarily, for me right now, it's not necessarily the most straightforward in terms of editing and all that. But now I'm just going to right click into this photo and then say edit in Photoshop CC, and I want to edit a copy with Lightroom adjustments. Oh, and the battery is charged 100%. I wonder if these are worth it to really put on. I guess in a way they are, because you're just protecting the lens and you can replace those easier. So putting one on, putting the other. I have no idea if I'm going to keep those on, but I'm just gonna try and see what happens if I do. And also then basically unplug this, have the SD card in there, close this, there we go. Putting the hat over, closing. I guess that's going to be my transportational rig here. I'm gonna try and see what happens with these covers on, if I like that. Not so sure about these covers because they are extremely tight again, a good idea or a good thing, but at the same time incredibly annoying. Not sure if this is going to be my favorite, but at least this way I don't have to worry as much about laying them down on the camera, because that's not what you want to do with these extremely fragile camera lenses. Now I have Photoshop open, and I just learned that apparently I have to click on 3D, but it doesn't let me. I can't go into the spherical panorama mode. Don't know why, just is that way. Again, trying to look at the ProRes file, it's still at 1.9 gigs. And the photos that I imported in Lightroom, one I color changed or just made some edits to it. I have a second one, and then I have my this ultra pano, and I like the theory of the ultra panoramic, but at the same time I'm not so sure, unless you cut it in pieces and make the kind of like swipe picture in Instagram, for example. Not so sure if that's really a mode that I'm that keen on. Let's just learn about this in Photoshop for a quick second and how to edit 360 photos in Photoshop. So this has to be, this seems to be a thing. Really interesting. Right now I can't switch into the 360 mode. I'm not quite sure what is limiting my ability to switch into that mode. I'm kind of wondering if it is because of Lightroom in between. really not sure why it's not letting me do that, but I will have to figure that out at a later point as well. Well, nice people of YouTube, I quit the ProRes render. I figured my streaming is taking up a lot of the power right now, so it's not quite the fair render anyways. However, I have one last thing that I am going to test, and that is if the Premiere Pro CC, and I'm going to just look that up in a second for you as well, what happens if I open Premiere Pro 2019 CC 13.1.5 build number 47, and I am going to try what happens if I import the 360 media itself. And it says file is not supported. So that's a little bit of a bummer, and I am going to go and try to figure out if the GoPro player supports batch render, because I am not going to, or like I don't want to do these things one by one, but apparently when I open them both, it's going to open them both individually. And so well, let's just say the process will need some fine-tuning. I don't know if ProRes is going to be the best. It's definitely going to be like having the full quality 5.6K projection. I don't really care. ProRes, yes. I can't really set this as my default. I can't really save those settings. I am curious to see what happens once the GoPro player updates. This is version 1.0, so we'll see how that goes. And I will just learn about this, try to figure out more about how to work with these things, and then as I come along, I will most likely make a video, or I might actually do another live stream like this. And I'm just looking up if I can batch export as well. Well, it says that you can, kind of. GoPro Max Exporter. Okay, so in the GoPro Max Exporter, apparently you are able to do that. Now the question is the GoPro Max Exporter also available for Mac OS? Because I have seen that they have the GoPro Max Exporter, but they don't have GoPro VR Player for Windows, GoPro More Desktop Tools, Premiere Pro, the reframing After Effects, GoPro FX reframe plugin for Premiere Pro. Okay. I'm just gonna do that last step here. Successful, move to trash. Opening Premiere Pro. They're also saying that you can reframe your hero, your max, and your fusion footage in Premiere Pro. Not so sure what you want to reframe with the hero. Maybe if you have some customized lenses or something like that. opening up the project again because I am wondering if this VX or FX thing also makes it so that it is actually compatible with the 360 file, but it still says that it does not like the 360 .360 file. However, there is the GoPro VX reframe effect. I just would like to also put that into my how do you say, into my presets. So there, just have to wait until I actually apply it to a track, and then we'll see. Okay, so that's it so far. Right now I have to say I am still curious to see what I can do with this device. It is definitely something that opens up a whole bunch of options and possibilities that I don't even know about yet. That's for sure. What have I done? Okay, just knack that in there. Generally speaking, I like the form factor. I like the size. Like I said, I have heard that the lenses are extremely fragile because they are sticking out and stuff like that. Might get scratched, smushed, or stuff like that. So for now, I am going to keep these covers on, and I'm also kind of thinking that this is able to clean them fairly decently. It kind of feels like a little bit of a cleaning cloth at least. And yeah, just trying out how those protective covers fare in the next few days and weeks. If they are intruding on the image too much, I'm most certainly going to just remove them, and yeah, maybe I get another kind of pouch, because like I said, this does not feel like it is protective in any way. It's just one layer of cloth over the lens, and for me to just throw it into my backpack or stuff like that, it does not feel like it's enough. The tripod, on the other hand, it feels like it's made fairly substantial. It's made with magnets that close the grip down here. The grip is really big, so that's kind of nice in a way, but at the same time it also is bigger than I expected in terms of just the sheer size. But then again, it also provides a little bit more of a base when you are putting it down on a desk in terms of the foot and the size of that, so that it does not topple over with the little bit of wind that is may be outside. So yeah, I'm going to play around with this, and I'm going to share some of my experiences as well as some of the videos on my Instagram, and if you want to see those, you can check out the description of the video. You have the link to go there, and yeah, just contact me there, write any questions in the comment section of this video. I'm going to look into those over time, and most likely I'm also going to make some kind of video about the Fusion and my experience with it and the process of processing the files that come out of the Fusion. So stay tuned for all of that, and I will see you sometime in the future. That's it for me for today. See you later. Ciao, ciao.